They told you wrestling was scripted. They told you it was all planned. That nobody actually gets hurt. That it's all handshakes and storylines behind the curtain. Well, somebody needs to go find Cody Rhodes right now because the American Nightmare is reportedly not okay tonight, and the man responsible is walking around with a smirk on his face like he just did the whole locker room a favor. CM Punk ambushed Cody Rhodes backstage after Raw went off the air, and if you think this is just another angle, just another worked segment to pop a rating, you are not paying attention to what is happening inside WWE right now. This is not a storyline beat. This is not a scheduled confrontation. This is Punk, off-script, off-leash, doing exactly what CM Punk has always done when he feels cornered, disrespected, or and this is the dangerous one, irrelevant. Let's go back to Raw. The night started already crackling with electricity because everybody, the fans in the arena, the people watching at home, the boys in the back, everybody knew there was unresolved tension between CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. It had been simmering for weeks. Little jabs on the mic, cold shoulders in the hallway, loaded comments and interviews that were clearly aimed at one person and one person only. On screen, Cody had a dominant night. He walked out to that arena like a man completely in control of his world, the belt sitting high on his shoulder, the crowd eating out of his hand, that smile that tells you he knows exactly who he is and exactly what he represents. The American Dream son, carrying the weight of legacy, doing it all on his own terms. And for a couple of hours, it looked like business as usual. Then Raw ended. The cameras cut. The production trucks started wrapping up. The fans filtered out into the parking lot. And at that moment when the red light on the camera goes dark, that is when things got very, very ugly. Multiple sources close to the situation have reported that CM Punk approached Cody Rhodes in the backstage corridor near the gorilla position, that narrow tunnel between the gorilla position and the locker rooms that every WWE superstar walks through every single week. It's one of the most trafficked corridors in the entire building after a show. And Punk used that space deliberately, strategically to confront Cody when there were just enough people around to witness it, but not enough to immediately intervene. What started as a verbal confrontation, heated words, pointing fingers, voices raised, escalated with terrifying speed. Punk, by all accounts, threw the first physical contact. And it wasn't a shove. It wasn't a chest bump. Punk went at Cody Rhodes with the kind of controlled, calculated aggression that only someone who has been planning for that moment could execute. This wasn't rage. This was cold. This was deliberate. This was CM Punk deciding that tonight was the night and that no amount of consequences was going to stop him. By the time people pulled them apart, the damage was done. Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion, had to be evaluated by medical personnel backstage. The phrase being used, and this is the phrase that should have every single one of you deeply unsettled, is critical condition. Let that sit with you for a second. The champion, in critical condition, after an ambush by a man who wasn't even scheduled to be in that part of the building. Segment 2: Who is CM Punk right now and why is he this dangerous? To understand why this happened, you have to understand where CM Punk's head is at right now. And I mean really understand it, not the character, not the promo, not the best in the world catchphrase. I mean the real psychological state of Phil Brooks in 2025, walking the halls of WWE after everything he has been through. CM Punk came back to WWE and the world celebrated. The prodigal son returning. The guy who left bitter and broken, coming home. And for a moment it felt like a redemption story, the kind of arc that only wrestling can deliver. But redemption stories require humility. And CM Punk has never, not once in his career, been able to hold on to humility when he feels like he's being undervalued. Punk watched Cody Rhodes get the WrestleMania moment that many people believe should have gone to him. He watched Cody become the face of the company. He watched the crowd, his crowd, the smarks, the smart fans, the people who used to worship him like a prophet, shift their devotion to a man he genuinely, viscerally cannot stand. And every week that Cody Rhodes walked out with that championship, something in CM Punk was dying. The thing about Punk that people forget is that he is at his absolute most dangerous when he's not in the main event conversation. When Punk is feuding for the title, he's channeled. He has direction. He has a target and a purpose. But when Punk is on the periphery, when he's doing programs that feel like filler, when he's watching from the side as someone else gets his spotlight, the resentment festers. It becomes toxic. It leaks into everything. And this time, it leaked into a hallway. Onto the champion, with nobody there to call the match. Segment 3: The locker room reaction. Silence that speaks volumes. Here's what nobody is talking about, and it's honestly the most disturbing part of this entire story. In the hours since the attack, the WWE locker room has been almost completely silent. Think about that. When something happens to a beloved figure in professional wrestling, the outpouring is immediate. Social media lights up. Wrestlers post support. The brotherhood closes ranks. That is the culture. That is what the locker room does. Silence is not the culture. Silence is something else entirely. A handful of superstars have posted vague messages of support, cryptic, careful, deliberately nonspecific. Nobody is naming Punk. nobody is calling it out directly. And that tells me one of two things. Either people are genuinely scared of what CM Punk might do if they go on record against him, or, and this is scarier, there are people in that locker room who don't think Punk was entirely wrong. Now, before you throw your phone at the wall, let me be clear, I am not saying what Punk did was justified. An ambush attack on a champion who wasn't expecting it, in a corridor backstage, after the show, that is cowardly. That is the act of someone who knows they cannot beat Cody Rhodes on a level playing field. But wrestling politics are complicated. And if there are people backstage who quietly feel like Cody has been getting handed opportunities, or that his position at the top of the card is more about brand than ability, then Punk, in their minds, might have just said what they've been whispering and catering for months. That's how factions are born. That's how locker rooms fracture. And right now, the WWE roster is a powder keg. Segment 4: What this means for the championship and the road ahead. Now let's talk business, because there's a championship involved, and WWE cannot afford to leave that title in limbo. If Cody Rhodes is legitimately unable to compete, and right now, the reports suggest his timetable is uncertain, WWE is facing a decision tree that has no clean branches. Every option comes with consequences. Option 1: Cody competes through it. The heart of the American nightmare, fighting through injury to defend his title. It's narratively perfect. It's also medically reckless and physically dangerous. And Punk would absolutely, ruthlessly exploit every single vulnerability. Option 2: Cody is stripped of the title pending medical clearance. In which case you have a vacant championship, a tournament, chaos. And CM Punk, the man who created this situation, suddenly inserts himself as a top contender. He turns his act of violence into a career opportunity. Which, let's be honest, is exactly the kind of ruthless, chess master move that makes Punk as infuriating as he is compelling. Option 3: Somebody steps up to protect Cody. A friend. An ally. A superstar who decides that what Punk did cannot go unanswered. And suddenly this becomes something much bigger than one man, one champion, one attack. Suddenly this is a war with sides, with generals, with battles that will play out across arenas for months. I know which option I think WWE goes with. And I know which option CM Punk is banking on. And the fact that those two things might be the same option tells you everything you need to know about how smart and how dangerous Philip Jack Brooks truly is. Segment 5: The larger question: has WWE lost control of CM Punk? I want to end with this, because I think it's the conversation that needs to happen and that nobody in the mainstream wrestling media is willing to have directly. Has WWE lost control of CM Punk? Not in a kayfabe sense. Not in a storyline sense. I mean institutionally. Structurally. Has the machine that is WWE, the same machine that has managed egos and protected assets and kept the show running for decades, has that machine miscalculated with CM Punk? Have they given him enough rope that he has now used it in a way they didn't anticipate? Because if you look at the pattern, the comments that blur the line between character and reality, the physical escalations that go beyond what's discussed in production meetings, the willingness to operate in spaces that WWE's cameras don't cover, CM Punk has been testing limits for months. And up until tonight, WWE let it slide. Because the heat was good. Because controversy sells tickets. Because a dangerous, unpredictable Punk is must-see television. But Cody Rhodes is in critical condition tonight. And at some point, must-see television becomes an emergency. Close call to action, direct address. I need you to do something right now. Before you scroll. Before you click on the next video. Drop a comment below and tell me, is CM Punk justified in his hatred of Cody Rhodes? Is this the calculated move of a chess master, or has he finally gone too far? And more importantly, does Cody Rhodes come back from this and get his revenge, or does Punk walk out of this with the title and not a single consequence? If this video got you fired up, which it should have, share it. Put it on Twitter, put it on Reddit, put it in every wrestling group you're in. Because this conversation is happening whether WWE wants it to or not, and Ring Rumble 1 is going to be right here at the center of it. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And stay locked in, because this story is nowhere near over.